Hello, Internet, and welcome to Saturday Morning Rambling. Today, I'd like to talk about someone, a little important company that I care a lot about, Atlus. And there's been, in the last few days, there's been a lot of news about Atlus, and this might probably be a shorter rambling video, but I want to clear a few things up about what's going on. So there are a couple articles, including one on Persona Central, a couple other websites. I think Kotaku has it, and there's one from Japan on a Japanese website where this first came out. And I'll link these articles down below, where Atlus is posting a 50 million yen loss for the last fiscal year. Now, as someone who cares a lot about Atlus, this is a little troubling at first glance. But when you think about it, it isn't that necessarily a bad thing. And I'll explain why. So, Atlus is currently part of Sega. Sega bought them, and they've mostly, from what I understand, I have not heard otherwise from Atlus, and so far it doesn't seem to be a problem, that they haven't really interfered with Atlus as a developer. They just let them do their own thing. And considering this huge loss, and the fact that Sega hasn't intervened on anything, means that this must have been planned somewhat. And looking at the restructuring of Atlus that's currently happening, I can understand why they'd be losing so much money. After Persona 5 was released in Japan, and actually a little bit before, a lot of the P Studio veterans decided that they were going to make their own studio within Atlus and hire a bunch of people to make other games, and that studio is called Studio Zero. Soji Meguro went there, I believe. Hashino went there, and Soejima went there. So they put this another studio within the company, and that must have cost a lot of money. And they've been working on several large projects in the background, and they're probably spending a lot of money on that. And due to the success of Persona 5, they feel cocky enough that they could back all this up really quickly. And that seems to be like it'll work. But some people who don't understand finances will be like, well, they did release Persona 5 here and in Japan, and they still aren't, it's still saying they're in a deficit. Well, yeah, but the fiscal year in Japan, I'm not sure if it's the same here, but I think it is. It ends in March, and that was before Persona 5 got its worldwide release. So it's not counting any of those sales, which account for, by now, over 1 million sales of Persona 5, and that's a lot. That's a lot of money that's not counted in this whole equation. And it does count the Persona 5 sales in Japan so far, but that's I'm losing my thought. That's fine, because they knew that they were going to have an international release, and the next fiscal year, which includes April, when Persona 5 was released worldwide, will probably have like a huge income. That's like why they're making so much money. It's because they didn't count the Persona 5 towards the last year. So yeah, Atlus is not in trouble. Don't worry about it. They've always been able to make a profit out of almost every game since like 1995. So yeah, just relax and Don't worry about it. Atlus will be okay. And they're working on so many different things that, I'm surprised it's not even more debt that they're in right now. But once you count the Persona 5 worldwide numbers, they'll definitely at least break even, if not go over. And all of the games that they're releasing in 2017, the Radiant Historia remake, the Strange Journey remake, Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon 2, potentially SMT 5, that in Japan at least, that's potential is still unclear whether or not it's coming out this year or not. And also, whatever Persona 5 spin-offs will happen, because, let's be honest, they will happen. They'll make bank. They'll be fine. So, yeah. Don't worry about Atlus. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.